lot of my self-esteem issues also came from the fact that I did not really fit into the societal definition of beautiful. Yes, I did have social anxiety.
If there's one thing that's sure to motivate you, encourage you, that you can overcome your anxiety, battle with patriarchy and gender, it's success stories from real people. Today's episode is quite special for all of us because we have two reasons. First, this is the 10th episode of the Changemakers of Mentogram, where we talk about the real changemakers of society that have an inspiring journey. And second, what if I tell you I have with me the changemaker herself? My podcast introduction would actually run out of words because I have with me a podcast coach, keynote speaker, public speaking coach, author, corporate trainer, and of course, a changemaker. Podcast host of the successful show Beyond Cleach, who creates awareness on gender stereotyping, Miss Almas Virani. First of all, I would like to thank you, Almas, for taking out time and joining us for an exclusive episode of the Changemakers of Mentogram.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction and thank you for inviting me. My pleasure totally to be here. Thank you, Pratiksha.
Lovely. To start off, I'll let our audience know that the confident lady that they are listening to right now was the same old child who had social anxiety. So I'll ask you, Almas, to share your journey from being that anxious kid to now being a public speaker.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that I landed here. And every time I talk to a client who wants me to help him or her with their social anxiety, I am taken back to my journey. Yes, I did have social anxiety. And a lot of my self-esteem issues also came from the fact that I did not really fit into the societal definition of beautiful. Right. So, from a gender perspective, a girl is expected to look a certain way, and if she isn't, then there is invariably a lot of indirect, subtle, and sometimes even a lot of direct humiliation directed towards her. And I've kind of faced all of that. And I vividly remember that, and I usually share the story. I remember sitting in one corner, busy with a blackboard and a box of chalks. I really struggled to even connect with my cousins, to play with friends in the building. It was so difficult for me.
That's
It was
shocking.
my comfort zone was sitting with that blackboard and the box of chalks. मैं किसी को पढ़ाती रहती थी. It was my own self. I think I used to teach my own self. The story is now that blackboard has moved to a whiteboard. That's a different story altogether. But that's my earliest memory of how I really struggled to connect with kids my age. And like I said, a lot of this self-esteem was also directed towards me because of the way I looked. Now, you might look at me and say, "What's wrong with you? You're so beautiful, Almas," which is how I see myself now. But back then, I had self esteem issues. So I was really tall for my age, always. I was not Snow White fair in this world that believed that for girls to be beautiful, they have to be fair. So, fair is beautiful is a mantra that ran in my family, in my society, as in the construct of the society that I came from. And I was
There with
not that.
everyone, with every girl, with every boy, that if they are tall, they're handsome.
Exactly.
The girl is fair, she's beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're not fair and beautiful, you're also dumb. This is the equation.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of me feeling that I'm not good enough and I'm dumb and I can't communicate and I'm not confident also came from that space, right? And I remember there was this opportunity for someone to give a speech, Independence Day speech at age 11.
Okay.
The teacher walked in and said, "Who wants to give a speech?" The girl sitting next to me on the bench, for some weird reason, she nudged me. She said, "Go for it." I said, "You're mad. I can't talk." She nudged me again. And for some goddamn, actually God chosen reason, I raised my hand up. And that one reflex action changed my life forever. I had signed up for the biggest ride of my life, the first step of my transformational journey. I had 15 days to get a speech ready. So I got a speech ready, the most patriotic speech ever. And I practiced and rehearsed. And it was 8 a.m. many moons ago. It was a bright sunny morning. I was waiting for my turn, and the principal announced, and we have Almas Virani who's going to give the Independence Day speech. And Almas Virani is really shaky. She's scared. She has no idea what she's going to do. Her knees are locked. Teeth are tattering. Sweaty palms. Very nervous. I walked up on stage. I remember one ribbon was untied. I quickly tied that up, and बहुत घबराते हुए I reached the stage. And when I did that, I spoke the first two words to the mic and said, "Good morning, everyone." Good morning, the first two words. And I still remember something cracked open within me. I loved what I heard. I loved what I heard from the mic back. And I gave my speech. I fumbled a lot. I made mistakes. But I remember continuing. And 2.5 minutes later, when 500 students in the audience did, everything changed after that. It was the biggest validation that a girl with an inferiority complex had heard for herself. And that was my first leap in life. And uske baad, there was no looking back. I realized I could talk. And then debate, elocution, within school, inter-school, intra-school, inter-college, intra-college. Then I went on to being a radio jockey for a while. And then I moved into training. So the mic and the audience always stayed with me. And now, about 2 decades later, from the time I started my career, okay, forget the fact that the 11-year-old had a journey to cross. 2 decades later, now I've realized this is a gift. And how I kind of discovered this gift is about 8 years ago, when I decided to take a leap again in my life and move out of the corporate race and quit the 9 to 5. I was doing this soul searching, Pratiksha. कि मुझे लाइफ में करना क्या है, मेरा लाइफ का पर्पस क्या है. And I had a life coach on board, and I remember in one of the sessions, it just sort of springed up, and I realized that my calling in life was to help people how to talk. Because in one of those sessions, the memory of that 11-year-old girl came up, and I realized this is what I was cut out to do. It's a gift, and I want to take this gift out to the world. So yeah, that's been the journey of a girl with social anxiety. I think in my life, I've taken a lot of leaps. I'm very fearless that way. I'm very fearless. And I think I was chosen to fight some very difficult battles so that I could become fearless. Otherwise, there was no way this shy girl would have landed here. You cannot be a swimming champion till you don't get into the pool and swim yourself. And I was literally pushed into the pool multiple times, not just the pool, but the ocean.
Oh, wow. So the first time was when that girl right next to you, she pushed you to raise up your hand to go for the speech. And then the other times have been related to your work, when you have been, when the little girl inside you has come up with thoughts and wondering that what is it what I want? And if that little girl can do it, why can't this 2 decades experienced Almas can not, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about your transformation, how you are a public speaker, and people actually know you. You're quite famous. Like
no, I'm not. Am I?
Okay, if you say you ain't famous, in that sense, I would say your podcast Beyond Cliché, that is something that's actually famous. So why not I take you to that part of the our journey? So it's for audience who doesn't know what was Beyond Cliché all about, I would say it was a show that had all kinds of famous guests on the show. Basically, the ones who broke stereotypes, the ones that Almas wanted to have. So how did you bring such guests on the show? How was the experience? And the question why I'm asking is how you brought those guests on the show is something that is going to be helpful for all of us who are into podcasts.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. So a couple of things. One is that I'm very fearless. I can literally talk to anyone. मैं डरती नहीं हूँ. If I have to reach out to, I don't know, maybe Modi ji today and say, I want to talk to you, I'm going to do that fearlessly. So there is no hesitation. And I reached out to people with a very strong, clear intention of how their journey could inspire someone. I think when your intention is very, very strong, the universe supports it as well, right? And I think all of these people that came to the show, whether it was the director of the movie Shakuntala Devi, or whether it was the Nike ambassador, or whether it was a MasterChef finalist, all of them connected with the cause. All of them had a story and they were inspired to take that story to the world. So when you don't have a hidden agenda and you selflessly want to collaborate with somebody for a mutual cause, people will collaborate with you. So there is no hidden secret as such. Yes, there was work that had to be done. There's no magic, right? So I had an intern who would reach out to a lot of people and we would share why we're doing this. Also, I think the fact that I had a petition attached to my podcast, the petitions, which is hashtag Papa Pampers too, where I'm asking Pampers to put the father's image on the diaper wrapper and bring about a narrative change of inclusive parenthood. That resonated with a lot of people. So I think it was the cause that people resonated with. And I picked up people, I did research. I picked up people that had fought gender stereotypes, that were passionate about it, that would like to talk about it. And that's how I managed to get these guests on the show. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And yeah, talking about your a petition to get papas on the diaper cover page, that was something that was beyond stereotypes. Like what happens most of the time is when we do not expect a women to do such kind of gestures for male, to have this petition for the other gender is something that should be appreciated. And not everybody around here is someone that, no, I am the female, I'm going to just look after the female. The beauty of this stereotype breaking session was that both the genders were given equal opportunity and both the genders were equally treated. That this is the true meaning of the of that show, right?
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about in the show is that gender roles are created by us and they come from very deep conditioning, right? Who created these roles and where do they come from? Why is it that we stereotype a woman and say that she cannot drive and a man cannot cry? Ye kisne banaya? What is, and how harmful it is to us as human beings. Forget genders. Imagine a man who's not allowed to cry. The psychological term for that is emotional castration. And then he has no outlet for his emotion and he resorts to things like sex and violence. So what are we doing to human beings? We're suppressing a woman's energy, a woman who wants to nurture, raise a child, build a home. We're expecting so much out of her that at a human level, she's exhausted and she's breaking down. So yeah, the show is about why these roles have been created and how we can move beyond those roles and create beautiful, healthy lives for ourselves.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's get to the another topic of yours. Like I was mentioning people in the introduction that you are also an author, and recently I was going through Amazon for your book Changemakers, to be honest, where I saw that just the two copies of the book were left. And there's also this thing that your book.
Did you order one?
No,
you better do.
That's the reason why I was going through that. What is this? What is so special about this book? And the other thing that I was going through about this book was that it was actually launched by Mr. Javed Akhtar, Nandita Das, and Chef Ranveer amid extensive media coverage. So I would like to ask the author of the book, what is this book all about and what makes it so special?
Right. Okay. Right. So to begin with, I also want to mention my co-author, Shweta Samota. She deserves equal credit for this book. I had this idea that was planted in my head by a fellow change maker. She reached out to me and she said, Almas, I think you should do this book. And I literally had no experience in writing, publishing whatsoever. Writing, I used to write articles on and off, but I'd never really written a book and no publishing experience. That's when I reached out to Shweta, because she's a book author and I realized she would be the right person to do this. So together we embarked on this journey, and it was a phenomenal journey because what we've done is we've tried to capture the stories of 11 women that brought about a change in the country, in the society through their online campaigns. Now, the campaigns were, of course, important, but for me, what was important to depict in the book was the journey of each and every woman. So, what really inspired somebody with no activism background, with no social network, social working background, what really drove that woman to start a petition online to bring about a policy, a government policy change by getting lakhs of signatures? There must have been something, right? And each story is very beautifully captured to highlight how the woman became a change maker and how any one of us can be a change maker. So yeah, this book is very special. Go grab a copy. We're going to thank you for sharing that there are only 2 copies available. We'll make sure there are more available now. But yeah, the book is a capsule of many maverick women that have come together. So again, it's the story of strong intention, because the intention was strong and I wanted to take the message out to the world. Shweta and I put out very strong intentions, and that is how a Tapsi Pannu happened. She came forward, she gave us a forward for the book. That's how Javed Akhtar Saab happened, Nandita Das happened. It just happened very organically, and I'm glad it did. Yeah.
Because they liked was the intention behind this motive, and the cause that they are joining for this beautiful cause. And this is not something that is publishing someone's agenda, or because your intentions were pure. So in the end, they ended up joining you, and like Tapsi Pannu and Mr. Javed, all they came together to for this special cause, for this special book. Yeah, like you said, you will be adding on more books on the Amazon rack. So I think our audience would love to be one of the readers to get their copies, be it on Amazon Kindle, or get it in their hands. So
or just visit a crossword bookstore, you'll get it there.
Oh, lovely. Another option right there. Okay, so let's talk about your upcoming projects as a podcast host. Previously, I've seen your posts doing wonders that were just a glimpse of your work. Since you have done a lot and still doing it, how many lives have you changed so far? If I was to ask you that, how have you been doing, and there are X number of people you have helped. So, what is that going to be?
How many lives have I changed? I don't know, Pratiksha. But in my career of talking to people, training, coaching people over the last 2 decades, I think I've roughly touched around 40,000 people over the last 2 decades. In the podcasting space, it again started very organically, where there were a couple of people reached out to me saying, "Can you help us launch a podcast?" And I was like, "Okay." And I did that pro bono with no commercial intention. And the fourth girl I spoke to was a friend, and she said, "Okay, girl, you need to charge for this gyan. This is good gyan." There are a lot of people who want to learn podcasting. And it was COVID, and I realized this is a good time for me to launch a course. I wanted to do something that was state of the art. I wanted to bring experts on board. So I collaborated with my partner Nikhil Dintakurti, who is a monetization marketing guru, and got some more people on board. And we designed a series of programs that you see today. I have more than 10 courses on the Mentogram platform on podcasting, right? And we've been doing this for a long time now. I think through a number of master classes, workshops, online courses, on-demand courses, we may have easily touched about 3,000 odd people, and that is going strong. There are some clients that we work with. We help them one-to-one get their podcast out. So yeah, I'm happy that more people are falling in love with the mic.
Yeah. When you said that you're not sure of the numbers, it sounded like, is it a very small number that she doesn't want to share? And when you said 40,000, I was like, why was she hiding such a big number? That's quite huge. Okay, so Almas, I have been noticing that you clearly love your work. Your passion is evident to all of us.
Yeah.
But if I was to ask you, what do you love the most about this? What would that be?
What I love the most is when I am able to unleash somebody's voice. And by voice, I don't mean the biological voice in your voice box. Yes, I can unleash that also very well. So when people come to me, they're probably mumbling or at 50% energy. And when they go back, they're fully unleashed. So what I really like is unleashing people's voices. Okay. So not just the biological voice, but the real voice within, whether they are on stage, off stage, whether they are online, whether they're offline, whether they're talking to one person or talking to large crowds. What I love is every human being has a unique voice. And I love the fact that I'm able to unleash that. That gives me a lot of joy. And that is what drives me.
That's lovely. That's lovely to unleash the voices of people that's there within their head that sometimes they can't even listen to, and you're able to help them bring it out, and be it biologically or with our mental health, you're able to help them in such a beautiful way. Okay, so what I would say is I really love and appreciate, and would love to use all those positive words about you, Almas. This entire conversation has been so inspiring, but this episode has to come to an end.
Yeah.
So, reaching to the end of the podcast, before I part ways with you, do you have anything to say before parting ways with our listeners to inspire them?
Okay. So I always say this, that every voice has a pair of ears waiting to listen to them. And if you're not using your voice, you're depriving that pair of ears. So if you have a message, you have a voice. If you want to share something or spread something in the world, don't hold back. Get into the swimming pool, get into the ocean. Nothing's going to happen. You are going to be taken care of. And if you need a security blanket, you need a life jacket, I'm always there, right? So I'm doing a little bit of promotion here. You can reach out to me. I have several programs on public speaking, podcasting. No, I'm joking. You'll always be taken care of, right? It's about the intention. If you have the intention, and if you have a, a burning message within, don't hold back. Don't hold back. Just take it out in the world and you will be embraced. Yeah.
That's so deep and so thoughtful. I would just let my audience know that if you have come this far, if you are listening to us, so if you are listening to Almas, I know, I'm very sure that you must have been inspired so much today. Thank you so much, Almas, for joining us for the show. It was a pleasure having you here. Our listeners would definitely want to contact you, so we'll be adding your social media handles in the description of this YouTube video.
Sure.
So what's the moral of this story? Every time we are tempted to react in the same old way, ask if you want to be a prisoner of the past or a prisoner of the future. Smile, breathe, and go slowly. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. On that note, I would like to end this episode of The Changemakers of Mentogram. Stay tuned for more such inspiring stories. Until the next episode, I am your host, Pratiksha.